All right, hey there, everybody. Chad and I are here. We're here for a week one preview, a little special episode. I don't know if we're gonna do this every week, Chad. Probably just do it, as it,
Probably
as it,
not.
yeah, as it feels like it's natural to do a video. And maybe we won't always do like a preview or a review. Maybe we'll do some other stuff mixed in. I'd like to get some other people on here, but anyways, the first thing I want to do, Chad, is I want to have you, because so far people have only heard from me. I want you to grade everybody's draft. Okay, so you can either give a letter, or you can just keep it simple and say good, okay, or bad. Okay, it's up to you, right? And it's gonna be really quick. It's gonna be really high level. You don't have to go through each player. Just top of your head, what you think. All right. So if you have the draft board in front of you, do you? All right. Let's
Yes.
start from. We'll just go left to right. So Holly was our first pick there. What do you think?
I know we talked about it after most people's teams. I think with Holly's team, I like her first three picks. I like Richardson. I don't understand the three quarterbacks.
Right.
I know you mentioned it a lot with that, but I think besides that, starters wise, I would say it's I would say it's good, and it could be very good if like certain players hit. Like if Christian Kirk and Keenan Allen can be great,
Mm-hmm.
I think she'll kill it. Um, but I mean, she has a good floor. I would say her ceiling is a little capped going into the season, but I don't mind her team at all.
Okay. All right. So give it a grade. Give it something.
Um,
Like I said,
I
good,
would
okay,
say
and bad are okay too.
I guess lettuce is more fun though. I'll say B plus.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. We're gonna do Scott. He's
Yeah.
second pick. Just real quick. Just quick glance. Give me a letter.
Probably probably A,
Okay.
just because his running backs are a little iffy. Besides Brees Hall,
Yeah. Right. Sure. All right. How about your dad? Ringo Starr, third pick. You didn't like the Kyler Murray keep, if I recall.
well, I don't mind it. Just he took Dak early on.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
like that. That's
I would say B minus, and if his team hits, probably a B.
okay. All right. Let's go with Dan. Pick four. I love Dan's running backs.
The Henry first was just wild. B plus two.
B plus two. What
Well,
does
like
that
B
mean?
plus as in like
Oh, as well. Okay.
B plus as well.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, B plus or A minus.
Okay. All right, Melissa. Pick five. Started with Bijan.
I should give her a C. 'Cause she sniped half my picks. Just looking at some of them. If Pitts can hit this year, I'd probably say A.
Okay.
A minus to A.
All right. How about yourself? Non-partial
I'm
grade
gonna
of your own draft here.
probably A minus.
Okay. Justin.
Hmm. um, Probably B minus.
Okay. Me. You can be honest here.
I would say B plus to A minus.
Okay.
I forgot who was down there. It doesn't sort by. It's not sorting by like each position. It's by draft. So I forgot like
Yeah.
Puka's down there.
And Tank Dill.
I'd probably say A minus.
Madison.
B probably also B minus. So B, yeah.
Okay. How about Kate? Pick 10. One of two drafters to leave the draft with three tight ends.
Also Mahomes and Stroud. um,
Yeah, I would say Kate. What are you doing with two quarterbacks in the first 5 rounds? But she's gonna be like a top contender all season.
I'll
So.
say I'll probably say probably A minus just because the potential ceiling.
Okay, how about old Jimmy there, pick 11?
I feel bad because I kind of like somewhat pressured him into taking Lamar there,
Oh,
but
really?
I
Didn't
yeah
know
because
that.
we were talking about it. I just don't love the Mark Andrews keeper. That's the only thing I didn't like.
I don't like the Lamar pick there. He could have probably gotten Lamar in the third.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
because Justin couldn't have taken him. He had Gibbs as a keeper.
I'll say C plus.
Okay. And then JT?
Those receivers could be pretty nasty. I think just like you, I'm also kind of high on Jane Daniels, so I'll probably say an A.
Okay. All right, there we have it. All right, let's move on to the week one previews here. Switching over. Let's start with your dad's matchup here. Team Ringo Star against the King of Kings, Dan. Go ahead and jump in here. I don't like how small the little,
Yeah, it's not
not as big
full
as
size.
Yahoo's. I wonder if there's a better way to. Probably not, honestly. Sleeper's kind of weird sometimes. All right. Either
On
way,
the phone, it'll do it, not on the
yeah. Oh
computer.
yeah.
Apparently.
All right. Well, let's go. We'll kind of keep it high level-ish here, as much as we can. I guess we'll start with your dad's side here. You starting Dak? You starting Kyler?
Who's Kyler? Where are they playing? Buffalo.
Yep.
I
But Dak's playing Cleveland.
feel like you have to go Dak, right?
I mean, week one, I probably would honestly. Probably give Kyler
Yeah,
maybe a couple weeks to settle in. You know what you're getting with Dak. He's
I'd
probably
say
going to
yeah.
have a tough time all season deciding between those two. I mean, unless one of them just like if Dak emerges as Dak of the past like year or two, where he's just lights out, like putting up
Right.
40, 50 points a game, then
You
you
just
roll with
keep it.
Dak. But people forget that Kyler was the QB1 a few years ago in fantasy,
Yep.
or QB2 maybe. I don't know.
It's like he was top
He was
something.
top three. Before he tore his ACL. So Kyler's really good. He's got Marvin Harrison now, so he's got a high ceiling there. I guess let's kind of compare side by side here based on who they have in the starter position. So it's Dak versus Jordan Love. I mean, who you give the edge to there? I think I take Dak.
Probably Dak.
Yeah, and then running backs.
I just
So
yeah.
okay,
Also, I just don't know if Philly's defense is good or not. Again,
yeah, they were not great the last half of last season, so
no, they were terrible.
that could be a bit of a shootout, which is going to be good for Jordan Love potentially. Whereas Dak's going to get some pretty good defense. Yeah, I don't know. But the Cowboys' offense is really good. So honestly, the
Yeah.
fact that they're projected, 21.89 versus 21.85, I think is pretty telling about, both those
Yeah,
guys.
for sure.
Let's look at their starting running backs here. So your dad's got Kyron and Ramondre, and Dan's got Henry and Mixon. You could also sub in Kamara there. It doesn't really matter. What do you think about those?
Love them.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, hope Derrick Henry goes off, but
Yep.
I think all of our fine matchups.
Yeah, all four of these guys. I mean, and Ramondre is probably the worst play of the four here, only because he's on the Patriots. I think Ramondre is honestly a fine play. He was actually pretty good last year. People kind of forget about that, I think, despite how bad the Patriots were. He was
Yeah.
honestly pretty good. Even with Zeke there vulturing some touchdowns, he still had a lot of really good weeks. All right, let's look at their starting wide receivers here. We're just going to look at the top three. So we got Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Godwin for your dad, and we got Pickens, Reed, and Addison there for Dan. So to me, your dad's got clear, far away
So
advantage here.
Yeah.
George Pickens talented, but I mean, what's he going to be like with Russell Wilson throwing the ball? Jaden Reed, I really like for Green Bay, but I kind of mentioned this in my last video. I really don't know who's going to be the primary target in Green Bay. Is it
Yep.
Reed? Is it Wicks? Is it Dubs? Is it Watson? Like, it could be any one of those guys any week. Jordan Addison, I mean, he's hurt right now.
Might not even play.
I know he's
He did
right.
practice, but
He's got some legal stuff. I don't think it's going to impact him this season, but he's been like kind of up in the air. And then of course you have the same issue with Addison as you have with Jefferson, right? Sam Darnold. So, yeah, I mean your dad wins there by far. Then we got tight end here. We got George Kittle versus Trey McBride. I think that's actually really close. It's probably a coin toss between who has a better game, in my opinion, between those two. I really like Trey McBride. He saw a lot of targets last year. I think he's going to see a lot of targets this year. Hollywood's
Yeah.
gone. Harrison's there. I know they signed. Who did they pick up? Did they get Gabe Davis? No. No, Gabe
No,
Davis went to the
that's
Jags.
the Jags.
Yeah. So I don't
I
know if
don't
they
know.
actually signed anybody of note. Zay Jones, maybe. Did they pick up Zay Jones? I can't remember. Either way, I think
I
Trey
don't know.
McBride's in for a good season. All right, looking at the flexes here. So your dad's currently got slotted in Josh Palmer, and Tajay Spears. Dan's got Kamara and Zeke. Thoughts there?
I think obviously Kamar's the best out of all of them,
Yep.
but I don't hate Josh Palmer, and I honestly don't hate Spears.
Yeah,
You're
I
gonna
don't
have to
either.
see the split between Spears and Pollard.
I mean,
But
Spears was on the field a lot last year when Henry was there. I mean, I think he outsnapped Henry on the season, which it
probably,
doesn't feel that way, but that was the case. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. We got to see the split, the workload split between him and Pollard. But I do like Spears a lot too. Zeke, honestly, Zeke could have double-digit touchdowns. Like truly, I mean, I don't think he's going to have a ton of yardage. I don't think he's going to have a ton of passes caught. Not like old Zeke, but I think when they get down to the 5 yard line, they're just going to hand it off to Zeke. So
yeah.
he could finish a game with like 2 touchdowns and 50 yards, and I wouldn't be surprised. And for that reason, I think he's going to be okay. All right, let's peek at their benches, see if there's anybody down here that maybe you think they ought to start.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't love your dad's depth. He's got 2 tight ends down there clogging up 5 bench spots, or of 5 bench spots. Dan Polk maybe. I don't know.
So
Polk.
that'd be the
Polk
only
I
one.
feel like is a dynasty play, maybe a potential keeper play, more than a redraft play because you just don't know how good the quarterback play is going to be there. The offensive line in New England's terrible. And again, rookie receiver. Who knows how long it's going to take him to break out. Kind of going to be curious to see what J.K. Dobbins looks like. Honestly, I think I'd
Yeah.
be kind of pissed if J.K. Dobbins has a good season there. Like if he stays healthy and is good, I'm going to be a little bit pissed. I'm going to be happy for him, the player, but I'm going to be mad because we haven't seen that from Dobbins since his rookie year, which was 2020, 21. Like it's been a
2020.
while. But anyways, all right. Who you giving this matchup to?
I mean, I would say, unfortunately, I don't want to say it, but probably my dad.
Yep. I'm gonna go with your dad too
But
here. I think
can
his
see-
receivers just beat out Dan's, kind of top to bottom.
Kind of hope he doesn't start Kansas City defense.
Oh,
Maybe, I don't know. We do. I don't know.
that's a tough play. I don't think they're going to be a high-scoring defense. There's no way. I mean, unless they get really lucky with like a pick six or something that saves them, I don't foresee that being a good defense play. I will say, what are your thoughts about Jamar Chase?
Who knows? I think he gets a deal, but is it within this week? Who
Do
knows?
you think he's going to play week one?
If he gets paid today or tomorrow or like probably if he doesn't get paid by Thursday, I'd say no.
Okay, so you're saying if he doesn't have a deal on the table by Sunday, he's not playing. You think?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is I hate it. I hate this guy.
I mean,
So dumb.
yeah, I don't like what he's doing here. Like, at least wait a year because he's still got 2 years on his rookie contract. So,
Yep.
get like at least Ayuk. Only 1 year left. I get one in the extension. I get getting to that point in your contract where you've only got 1 year left and you want the extension. That's fine. When you got 2 years left, yeah, it's a little early. I know. I think I saw something where he said he wanted Justin Jefferson's contract plus like a penny or something, like something really silly.
Yeah, just because
And,
they were teammates.
Oh yeah, of course. I think he's going to play week one, contract or no contract, or extension or no extension, I should say. I think he'll be there. I don't think he's going to give up a game check. I really don't. Now, will Zach Taylor play him week one? If he shows up like
Yeah.
Sunday for the first time, he just shows up, game day. I don't know.
Against New England, yeah. Who?
I mean, right.
Who knows?
Zach Taylor might be, say, no, screw off, dude. Like, hit the bench. But I think Chase will end up playing. All right, let's move on. We'll look at Melissa's game here versus Justin. All right, we're going to start. We'll just go side by side again here. So we've got Burrow versus. You think Justin's going to start Caleb, or is he going to go with Herbert?
Probably Caleb just to keep the stack.
Okay. What do you think? Rookie quarterback week one? A little risky.
I mean, I know Tennessee's defense gotten better, but it's still Tennessee. I mean, those
Yeah,
offenses are probably not going to be good. I don't know. I like Killings in the preseason. I thought he looked pretty good.
yeah,
And Joe Burrow might not have Chase. So I
yeah. That's true. That's true. Um,
think it's closer than probably people than
that's
what you
actually
might expect.
that's actually a good point. You know, New England's defense is still pretty decent. I think they've lost some pieces, but it's still a
Still a
good
good system.
defense. If you know the Bengals don't have Chase, then they're down a weapon. It might be more of a ground and pound it kind of game for the Bengals. You know, run it with Zach Moss and Chase Brown. So I don't know. You're right. That could be a lot closer than it seems on paper. So let's look at running backs here. We got Bijan and Ken Walker versus Gibbs and Swift. I mean, I got to give that to Melissa there. I really like Ken Walker. I really like Bijan personally.
Yeah, I would. I think Bijan and Gibbs are definitely close, but yeah, I like Walker over Swift for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see Bijan's usage. I think he's probably the better back, but it's just a matter of you know
The splitting.
utilization between these guys because they're
Yep.
kind of in similar situations. You've got Gibbs there with David Montgomery. You've got Bijan with Algier. You know, neither one's going to be the CMC back probably, or at least we don't really know in Atlanta now that they have a new coach. I guess we'll see. But I think talent-wise, I give it to Bijan there. Swift, what do you think about Swift now in Chicago? You never really liked Swift, I don't think.
No, I had him um last year for in one of our leagues that me and you were in, but he just I don't know. It's weird. I feel like he didn't have a great season against the Eagles because I feel like his name was never said. But I think his stats were still pretty decent.
Yeah,
But I don't know. There's so many mouths to feed on that team. I'm not even. I don't know
yeah.
what's happening of him.
One of the major criticisms of Swift in Philly was that he would always get to like the 5 yard line. He would never score.
Yeah,
And then as soon as you
yeah,
get close, it's Jalen Hurts from there.
yeah. That
So
was annoying.
he had almost no touchdowns. So you're really relying on the pass catching work and the yardage. So, capped upside there. Mouths to feed. I mean, I agree with that. Who else does Chicago have in running back? Do they still have Khalil Herbert, or did he go?
Herbert's there still.
Okay, Herbert. Is it pretty much just him and Swift as the 1-2? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Herbert's not really a threat in my opinion. You might spell him, but it should be Swift out there most of the time. Now, with a rookie quarterback, I think actually 11 as a projected points for Swift is probably a little bit low, honestly. I think he could definitely see. I think he'll see enough
Yeah.
volume to exceed that.
100%.
Because it's the pass catchers in Chicago I'd be more worried about than DeAndre Swift. Because the pass catchers, there's 3 really talented guys. You don't know who's going to emerge as the one. You don't know how much Caleb's going to pass week 1. It could again be let's get settled. Let's just hand the ball off to Swift. Let him do his thing, and then do some play action or whatever RPOs. So we'll see. I do really like Ken Walker. So I give the edge here to Melissa as far as running backs go. Receiver, she's got Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, T. Higgins. Justin has Neighbors, AJ Brown, and Roma Dunze. Let's start with Melissa's here. I feel like hers are a little bit easier to talk about. T. Higgins, well, if Chase isn't there, T. Higgins should have a fantastic week. Pittman, I mean, what do you think about Pittman there with Anthony Richardson? We didn't see a whole lot of their connection last year.
I feel like it's hit or miss, to be honest.
Yeah.
He could have a good game, or he could give you a couple points.
Yeah. I think where Melissa kept Pittman is good value. I don't know how good he's going to be on the season. I mean, he's a wide receiver 1 there, so there's value in that no matter who's throwing the ball.
Yeah.
But if Anthony Richardson is going to run for 100 yards a game, who's the backup there now? Is it Flacco? Is he the number 2?
Yep.
So actually, if Flacco came in, just hypothetically, if Richardson gets hurt again, and Flacco comes in, man, Pittman could be like fantastic. He could be like just shoot up the boards. Funny enough, I think I mentioned this in the last video. Did you know that Anthony Richardson's only ever started like 17 games since high school?
Yep. Something sad.
Yeah. So he's kind of like, in a way, I think Justin Fields, where, and I don't really know the true comp. I honestly don't, but I kind of view them as similar players in terms of like they're gonna run, right? They're gonna run the ball.
100%.
How good are they at passing? I don't know. How fragile is Richardson? I don't know. He seemed hurt a lot last year. He got hurt like right away, kind of came back, got hurt again, kind of came back, and then they shut him down. Is that a freak accident? Is it just a bad luck, who knows? So I guess we'll see there. Mike Evans, I mean, what do you think he's going to do this year? I'm still thinking he's going to hit 1,000 yards. He's probably going to have upwards of 10 touchdowns.
I didn't even know he was a top. He was number 7 last year.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Mike Evans has always been consistently high.
he's not going to slow down.
The problem with Mike Evans is you'll have a week where he literally can score you 0, and then you'll have a week where he will get 3 touchdowns, and there's not a whole lot in between. So it's kind of feast or famine with him, and I think it's going to be more of the same. I mean, it's still just him and Godwin. You know, he has a connection with Baker. You know, I kind of feel like it's status quo in Tampa Bay. AJ Brown. Really wish I'd gotten AJ Brown. I'm not too upset about getting Justin Jefferson as a sort of consolation prize, but especially since I ended up getting Jalen Hurts in the 4th round, that would have been a nice stack to have. I'm sure Justin was hoping the same.
Yep.
In fact, yeah, he had AJ Brown first, so he was probably targeting Jalen Hurts most likely. Sorry, Justin. And then Malik Neighbors and Roma Dunze. I like both those guys, but what do you think about, rolling out 2 rookie receivers week 1 in your starting positions?
I like Neighbors. I don't know how much with the Dunze. Just again, rookie on that team with 2 number 1s, and he's a rookie, and then you have Swift. It's just, I don't know. I think he could have a decent floor, but I wouldn't expect, unless he scores, I don't think he's going to give you, numbers you probably would love.
Yeah.
So
I feel the same
who
way.
knows?
It's they always say in fantasy that you want to stay away from receivers who have rookie quarterbacks, and that's the situation here, right? I mean, we don't know what Caleb Williams really looks like in a true NFL game at this point. Preseason is so almost useless, I feel like, because you remember last year when Kenny Pickett looked like a world beater in preseason, and the Steelers went like 4-0 in the preseason.
Yeah.
And then he was absolute trash in the regular season. He threw like 10 touchdowns or something.
One of the worst starters.
So Caleb Williams looked great in preseason. What's he going to look like in a full-speed NFL game? So, I think eventually he'll be good. But, yeah, Roma Dunze, rookie receiver with a rookie quarterback, Keenan, DJ Moore, that's a tough pick. I don't personally like the Roma Dunze draft pick for fantasy, but, maybe it'll pan out. Maybe it'll pan out by midseason. Malik Neighbors, on the other hand, I do like. Malik Neighbors was a rookie receiver that I actually did want to leave the draft with. Marvin Harrison was too expensive for me. Roma Dunze, all the problems we just talked about. But Malik Neighbors kind of has a special situation where he was a little bit cheaper than Marvin Harrison. Some people kind of had him in the same breath when they talked about talent, between Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. And he's the only target. There's nobody else in New York. That's it. I mean, they have all the guys they've had for years, right? We got, Darius Slayton and Christ, can't remember half their people at this point. Isaiah Hodgins and whatever other turds
I think he was
they
cut.
have. Oh, Hodgins was cut.
I think
They had
so.
I don't even want to talk about their depth pieces at receiver because there's just nobody there. I mean, they have nobody. So
Nope.
I think he could see a lot of targets, just the same way Marvin Harrison will. I mean, who are you picking between these 2 groups of receivers? Because it's actually kind of tough.
Definitely say Melissa's.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where I lean. I would say, AJ Brown's the best receiver of these 6. Malik Neighbors could be in that conversation. We don't know yet. And then Roma Dunze, same thing. So it's kind of like the known versus the unknown. But yeah, I'd give it to Melissa here too. All right, let's talk about tight end here. Pitts versus Laporta. That's actually probably 2 of the potentially top 5 tight ends on the season in week 1 here against each other. What do you think?
I mean, you have to go with Sam Laporta, finished number 1 last year, which I didn't even know that until I checked.
Yep.
I mean, we've never bought into Pitts. I know he's a great prospect. I mean, dude's 6'6", but I don't know. I need to see to believe it.
Only 24 or something like that. Let me see if I can find here.
He's
23. He's only 23. He's been in the league now for is this his 4th year?
I believe so.
He's only 23. Yep. He's in his 4th year. He's actually, let's see.
He's probably turning
Sam
24
Laporta is also 23. These guys are the same age. It feels like Kyle Pitts is a grizzled veteran at this point, but he's younger than half these dudes. And I heard some interesting stats about I think Travis Kelce didn't have his first 10 touchdown or 1,000-yard season until he was 27, right? So Kyle Pitts is still several years younger than Kels before Kels was ever Kels. You know, that's what at least everybody's kind of saying, like as a justification for why you should still believe in him. You should still believe in the talent and the player. You know, the other argument of course, he's got Kirk Cousins now. He's got a different coach. Will they use him differently? Will he be better? Can't really be much worse, honestly.
I was gonna say it can only go up.
Yeah. So I'm with you. Laporta's obviously the safer one there. He's going to get a ton of targets still. Still him and the Sun God there in Detroit as the primary targets. So yeah, that one's close, but yeah, give it to Laporta. All right, how about let's talk about flex depth here. So right now, Melissa has slotted in Mostert and Watson. Let's just take a peek at her bench. Is there anybody from her bench you would slot in over Mostert or Watson? I'd be eyeballing Jerome Ford.
Yep. Over Watson for me.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Primarily because, again, you don't know what to expect from the Green Bay receivers, personally. I would say get through week 1, see what the snap counts are. You know, if Watson's like a 70-80% snap count guy, I'd probably be okay playing him, you know, week in, week out. If week 1 he's like a 50% guy, you know, playing special teams as well, I might hesitate a little bit. You know, Mostert there, I'm good with that. You know, on her bench, she's got Thielen and Lockett. Those are guys I would consider.
For injury's sake, if you had to pluck someone in, but
yeah, that's probably the only reason I would avoid Lockett because he's also kind of banged up right now. I probably wouldn't plug him in, but yeah, I'd probably do Ford over Watson as well. Okay, how about Justin over here? He's got in Jameson and Deontay. Meanwhile, on the bench, he's got basically the entire Ravens team.
Yeah. He hasn't put Chubb in his IR slot.
Come on, Justin. Else. Yeah, no, he could have. Yeah, he should have done that immediately after the draft and then picked somebody up. Justin dropped the ball there a little bit, man. Yeah, so his flex players are good. There's nobody else he could put in. I mean, to me, would you even keep Bateman or Justice Hill in a redraft?
Hill would. I would drop. I would keep Bateman.
Yeah, I would
probably keep Likey maybe, but
yeah,
I don't know who's on the waiver.
That's a good question. I mean, I guess in a vacuum, it's like, would you drop them? But yeah, you gotta have somebody worth picking up for. Justice Hill, I wouldn't roster, honestly. You can't predict when he's gonna have a good game, and as long as Derrick Henry's there, I think Derrick Henry is gonna be the goal line back. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, like he should be, right? But they might work Justice Hill in a little bit, try to get creative. I don't really know. I assume it's going to be Derrick Henry, so that
he'll probably be the breather.
Yeah, he'll spell Derrick Henry most likely. So yeah, I don't know. There's much more to say there. So I'm definitely going to give this to I think Melissa. She's my pick for the winner here. I just think she's got better depth.
Justin just has a lot of unknowns.
He's got
the problem.
So many unknowns. So. His team could start very slow this season. With Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze as your starters. And virtually nobody else to sub in, right? Like, he has nobody on his bench that he could really realistically play. Like, you can't play Justice Hill. You can't play Bateman. I mean, maybe Bateman's going to come out week 1 and, like, just wow everybody and be the guy we thought he would be. But in my mind, you got to keep him on the bench probably at least week 1, if not multiple weeks. And then Likely's a handcuff as far as I'm concerned. I don't think you'd ever play Likely if Mark Andrews is healthy. So he's got zero depth. And the starters he does have are half of them are rookies. So he's going to have, I think he's going to have a really tough time this season.
Agreed.
At least, that's how I feel right now. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about your matchup here against old Jimbo. Jameson Moon.
Procrastination.
So let's start here at the top. Quarterback versus quarterback. Lamar versus Jared Goff. It's like you want to immediately lean Lamar. I kind of talked about this in my video. Last season, Lamar either got you 15 points or he got you like 45 or 50, right? Not a whole lot of the in-between, like, 20-point week, 25-point week, 30-point, like, not that consistent, like, just steady points. It's either feast or famine. You get nothing or you're getting it all because, look, if Lamar's not throwing a bunch of touchdowns, he's not rushing them in. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Jalen Hurts. So he's got to
Nope.
throw them. And if it's a week where Gus Edwards was rushing him in, or in this case, hopefully, Derrick Henry this year, if Derrick Henry rushes in 2 or 3 touchdowns, Lamar's got nothing. He's going to have nothing. Jared Goff, on the other hand, he's going to have probably 2 touchdowns every week, right? Probably 300
Yep.
yards and 2 touchdowns because you've got Sam Laporta, you've got, the Sun God, Amon-Ra, maybe Jameson Williams. He's just got more weapons. He just tends to, he's a pocket passer, right? So
Yep.
I don't honestly know. Like I said, face value, you want to pick Lamar. I think it's a toss-up. The matchups to me, they don't really. Neither of them here scare me off. Running backs, you got Achane, Jacobs. He's got Najee and Pollard. I freaking hate his running backs. I hate your running backs, Jimmy. I really do. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't like Najee as a player. I think he's kind of slow and he plods along. Tony Pollard was just really mediocre last year on a really, really, really good Cowboys offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the stat was, but Tony Pollard had some ridiculous amount of red zone carries, like carries within the 5, within the 10, and he did nothing
And they were
with
like
them.
all negative or
Yeah,
something.
they were
Yeah.
either negative or almost none of them went for a touchdown. So what is Tony Pollard going to do now in Tennessee behind a worse offensive line on a worse offense with competition for carries, right? And, he didn't really have a whole lot of that in Dallas. I mean, he had Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn and whoever the else was still there. But, I mean, to me, Tajay Spears could emerge as the better running back. So, I mean, look, we'll see. It's tough to say. But, I mean, you've got Devon Achane who, is probably is he the fastest running back, active right now?
Probably.
I mean, it's either him or
Probably.
Mostert, probably. But Mostert's like 31. So, we saw what he could do on limited touches last year. Now he was kind of injury prone, right? But he's kind of small, it's sort of somewhat to be expected. But he just blew away every metric you could possibly blow away. Josh Jacobs, I think that's actually a great pick there because, as we found out since the draft, I mean, Marshawn Lloyd's hurt. AJ Dillon went on season-ending IR, right? Season-ending. Not that he was
Yep.
good. Those aren't necessarily you weren't necessarily scared of AJ Dillon. He's not a great player.
It's
But
terrible.
he was going to take carries away from Josh Jacobs, right? That's how Matt LaFleur's system works. It's what Matt LaFleur's been saying. Hey, I don't have one running back. I have a platoon. But when they're all hurt behind Josh Jacobs, you don't really have a platoon. You just have Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
So I think he's going to have probably 20 plus carries a game. I just think it's a shoe in for that. Should be a good offense. So yeah, your running backs just kind of kill Jimmy's here. Let's talk about receiver here. You got the Sun God yourself there. You got the nice stack. I like that. You got DJ Moore, Mari Cooper. He's got holy Jesus, Jimmy. Is there somebody else he can slot in here? Oh my God, he's got Ricky Pearsall. Christ Almighty.
Xavier Leggett.
All right. Well, let's just talk about yours really quickly because you have all your guys are good, right? Amon-Ra needs no explanation. Top 3 receiver. Doesn't matter who he plays. DJ Moore, kind of a question mark. Ultra talented, but goes in the same conversation with all the other guys we talked about earlier in Chicago. Amari Cooper was really good with Deshaun Watson in the few games they played together last year. I would expect more of the same. I mean, they did sign Jerry Jeudy. Does that scare you at all?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you want the offense to be better, right? More opportunities. So I think it just helps.
Yeah. That's how I look at it, too, is, bringing in another receiver doesn't really... Okay, it takes away targets from, Elijah Moore. Is he still on the team? They cut him?
Don't even tell
Who
you.
knows, right? Who knows? That's how irrelevant he is. They cut Donovan Peoples-Jones, right? Remember when he was the hot thing a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Amari Cooper is going to be fine. So your guy's good. So let's try to fix Jimmy, right? Because right now he's broken. Diggs. Okay, I mean, Diggs is still a good player. He's, 31-ish? Where's he at now? He's 30.
Really.
New team. Who? Just real quick, if you had to rank the Houston receivers this year, how would you rank them in terms of how you expect them to finish from a fantasy perspective?
Probably Nico than Diggs.
And where's Tank?
3rd.
Okay, so you said Nico, Diggs, Tank. Okay, all right. I think that's probably a good guess, honestly. I mean, I think Nico's the number one. Um, you know, from what I've heard that it might be Nico and Tank as sort of the X and Y receivers, and then you might see Diggs in the slot. I don't know. So they might all be playing different positions, kind of having different roles. But I know they made Diggs a captain. I think. Did you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think Diggs is going to be fine. There is a weird stat out there that's the past 2 or 3 seasons, Diggs has started really hot, and then the back half he falls off.
Falls off.
Like he's just kind of terrible. I don't know if that's just a weird fluke or coincidence or what. I do like Devonta Smith a lot. He's ultra talented. People forget that when he was drafted, he was like the receiver of that draft. I don't remember who else came out of that draft class. To you?
2021, not really.
That was. Is that same one as Chase or Jefferson? It had to be one of them. The Jefferson.
Probably. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not really good with the years.
I can't keep track either. So he's really good. He'll have up and down games, but I'm not worried about him. Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood's not playing week 1, so step 1, Jimmy, put him in your IR. He's not playing. Go pick up somebody else just to have an extra piece. Step 2, I don't know that I'm starting Hollywood anytime soon. I mean, oops, picked out of that.
I think if he's healthy, I think you have to play him, especially on this team.
I think that's fair. I would still want to see, if I had the option, I would want to see what the connection looks like there in Kansas City, right? Because they've got Rashee Rice. They've got their rookie, right, Xavier Worthy. They've got Juju. And then Hollywood, right? So Hollywood's probably at best the wide receiver 3 on this team. Would you agree with that? Behind, I guess we don't know about Worthy. He's a rookie. It's hard to say that. But over time, Hollywood should be no more than the wide receiver 3 behind Worthy and Rashee Rice. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And you know what? It doesn't help that Hollywood's going to be hurt for at least a couple weeks, right? Probably 2 to 3. And probably going to miss all those games. So, yeah, Jimmy, get him into your IR, pick up somebody else. So, who are you putting in that spot? I mean, you said it already, I think. It's pretty much Xavier Legette, which, of all the rookies to be excited about, he's the one I'm least excited about, right? There was sort of some of this discussion. I was looking through our Dynasty chat earlier, and he was on the board there in, I don't know, probably second round of our Dynasty rookie draft, and I passed on him. This dude... He was in college for 20 years, right? He was just in college for freaking ever. I think his first 4 years, awful. Just absolutely awful college production. His 5th year, he broke out. He had a fantastic senior year. I think he was one of those guys that, did the bonus year because of COVID. And so in his final year, he finally broke out and did something. And, I don't know. That, to me, is not super exciting. He may have also gotten a late start. I don't remember if this was the guy who, he might have been a quarterback in high school and then converted to receiver.
I thought he did those positions.
Yeah. So, I've seen people argue for him that, he's a late bloomer because he switched. I guess we'll see. Time will tell. It is unfortunate about Ricky Pearsall. You can't really blame Jimmy for that one when your player is getting shot.
So it's got to be a drop.
I guess, do we know, how long he's going to be out? Because I heard he was already back at... He wasn't at practice. He was there. He was at the facility. Do we know, what that...
I'm assuming it has to be at least weeks, at least.
So, let's assume he's out for a month, right? I have no idea if that's... He got shot. I don't know what the recovery time is for a gunshot wound. Let's say Hollywood's going to be out for a month. I mean, which of those guys are you starting if they're back week 5?
Yeah. Oh, definitely Hollywood. I think
that's fair.
With Mahomes, you have to do that.
Sure, and that's fair because he's also he's a known commodity, right? Pearsall's a rookie coming off of a gunshot wound, so you probably yeah. I mean, I don't know that I would drop him, right? Because he can either go in your IR, Hollywood can go in the IR. One of those guys can go in there, and you could still pick up somebody else. What do you know about Ray Davis? Because
it looked like Aaron Donald before you click on him. I don't even know who it was.
He does kind of look like Aaron Donald. So it's funny enough. in my last video, I said I had no idea who this guy was, and then I was going through my Dynasty roster today. I drafted him in Dynasty, but he was like the last pick. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he was just sort of like a, well, who else is still available kind of pick. So to see him in redraft is kind of weird. Um, you know, I'm Jimmy. Okay. Anyways, just gonna move on from that. Let's talk
Say.
about tight ends here. We got Dr. Schultz versus Mark Andrews. I mean, Mark Andrews, right? Like we're gonna give him.
Yep.
Um,
100%.
I mean, I don't mind Dalton Schultz for you, but Mark Andrews is the top three. In the flex, you've got Xavier Worthy. Speaking of Brian Thomas Jr., he's got Keon Coleman and Trey Benson. So, funny enough, 4 rookies, right, in your flex spots. You know, if I had to rank these 4 rookies in terms of who I thought week 1 was going to have the biggest impact, I'd probably say I'd probably actually say Keon Coleman, then probably Worthy, then Brian Thomas, then Trey Benson. Trey Benson might get a few carries. You know, I think he's going to be truly a handcuff to James Conner.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they'll spell Conner more. He's getting up there in age, but you know, Brian Thomas Jr., I do like that pick. I think he's going to get a lot of valuable work. People have been talking about him in the Calvin Ridley role from last year. Not that we don't really remember Calvin Ridley as having a strong year, but I think he finished top 15 or around the 15 mark. So, you know, if Brian Thomas can somewhat replicate that, then, you know, he can be pretty good. Xavier Worthy, obviously, like you talked about with Mahomes. All right, I'm going to give this to you, no question about it. I think Jimmy's team needs a tremendous amount of help. I mean, I just don't see how
Poor Jimmy.
his guys get it done. Yeah, sorry, Jimbo. Not trying to pick on you, but your team is kind of shitty, my friend. All right, let's move on there. Let's talk about next matchup here, who I have as Holly and JT. All right, so we got Haloti Tua, and then old JT's jive talking porpoises here. So quarterback Anthony Richardson versus Jaden Daniels. I'm going to call this rookie versus rookie because Anthony Richardson played like 2 games last year.
Yeah.
Who are you picking?
Jane Daniels.
Yeah, that's who I want to say. I mean, we know Anthony Richardson, right? Like we saw him. We saw him be good. Best case scenario for Jaden Daniels is that he is Anthony Richardson. You know what I mean? Kind of is
exactly.
kind of the funny, ironic part here. That said, I think based on what I know about both of them as sort of college quarterbacks, is that Jaden Daniels is actually far more talented. So
Yeah, he's
you know,
very good.
week 1, will Jaden Daniels be that guy? I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. You know, at running back, McCaffrey and JT, Rashad White and Zamir White. I mean, that's not really close, right? So, I mean, CMC should still be RB1 on the season if he stays healthy. There's no reason that should change.
Nope.
How old is he now? Is he like 28? Yeah, 28.
CMC?
Yeah, he's 28.
Yeah.
That doesn't scare me. You know, that's kind of the age cliff for running backs, but that doesn't scare me at all. Not with him. He doesn't need. I know he's going to get a ton of opportunities, but he always makes the most of the opportunities he gets.
He's just too efficient.
He's
Yeah.
ultra efficient. I mean, he's like 15 yards per opportunity. Jonathan Taylor actually should have a really good season. He's healthy. You know, last year he had
That's the problem.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really good this year. I think you know, she kept him for like a third. I think that's going to end up being a really good value. Rashad White, Zamir White, talk to me about these guys. What do you think about them?
Rashad White, obviously last year, I think maybe we were surprised how good he finished. Had a slower start too, but for where he kept him, I didn't mind it, especially for running backs that, you know, very sparse, to have a pretty good one. I don't mind him at all. Zamir White, who knows?
I mean, he's
hate the
unknown.
Raiders.
What did he do last season? Let me look at his game logs from last year because I don't really remember hearing much about him.
His
he
last
finished
4
last.
games.
Wow, he had a really strong finish. He played a ton of snaps, had a ton of carries. He had a game with 4 targets, a game with 6 targets. So, who was the quarterback to end the Raiders season?
Minshew. Oh, Jimmy G, right?
Was it Jimmy G?
Wait,
I want to
because
say
Derek
you're
Carr
right.
got sat, or he stepped away. I think it was Jimmy G.
Well, Derek Carr, wasn't he with the Saints last year?
You're right. That was the year before.
Yeah.
I don't know then. Was it
Because
Jimmy G?
they had Aiden O'Connell, right? Was that one of the guys they had, or was that one of the Vikings?
Yeah.
Was he with the Vikings last
No, he was Aiden O'Connell is on the Raiders still.
Is he the starter?
No, Minshew is.
Oh, Minshew's the starter for the Raiders.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we don't know what we're going to get. I mean, obviously, though, if you look at the game log from last year, what's interesting is his highest snap percentage was 22 in Week 7 until you get to Week 15, and then it jumped to 70%.
Yeah.
Now, Josh Jacobs was there. Was Josh Jacobs hurt to finish the year? Is that what happened?
Apparently.
That had to be what happened. Josh Jacobs probably went down, and Zamir White stepped into that role. And Zamir White was actually really good in that role. So, I don't know. I guess we'll find out if he's got a similar role. I mean, who else do the Raiders have at running back? I don't know any of their other running backs.
They have Alexander Madison.
Oh, they have Madison now? Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
that means
Yeah,
nothing to me. So,
Trash.
yeah, interestingly, I mean, JT's running backs could actually be pretty decent. They're not going to be McCaffrey and Taylor, though.
I'd say Holly definitely wins that side.
Yep. So, receiver, Holly's got Ayukin, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, to JT's Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, and Nico Collins.
Not even close. I go JT.
I mean,
times.
yeah, I do too.
I think there's bold predictions that people are doing, but people are thinking that Marvin Harrison's going to beat the rookie record for yards, which is Puka actually owns it, and it's almost 1,500, which is just I didn't even know he had that many.
Yeah,
like that's absurd.
He was crazy. He was crazy. He broke a bunch of records last year. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's hands down JT. I don't hate Holly's receivers though. You know, look, it's a trade-off, right? Holly started with 2 really strong running backs, so her receivers aren't going to be as good.
Yep.
You know, we don't probably need to talk about a whole lot of these guys too much. You know, Brandon Ayuk. What do you? Brandon Ayuk is like a really unsexy wide receiver, in my opinion. Like, he's really good. He's pretty good for fantasy. I don't get excited about him. Do you?
No, he doesn't. I don't think he does anything flashy. He's just, very good at running routes.
Yeah.
So he's not like a jump ball guy. He's a just get up and catch the ball, run.
Yeah, I mean, people say he's actually a better receiver than Debo, but Debo's more
Debo's a yak
player.
monster.
Yeah, Debo's a yak monster, but he's also more versatile. You know, you can put Debo in the backfield, use him as running back. So they're different styles of players, even though they're both technically wide receivers. Garrett Wilson, we've talked about him. He's obviously good. We'll see what he can do with Aaron Rodgers. Marvin Harrison, we'll see his rookie. Nico Collins, you already kind of ranked the Houston receivers. And I didn't disagree with your ranking for the record. I think it could very easily be Nico, Diggs, and then Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Tight end, Njoku versus Kincaid. I really like Kincaid. I think Kincaid is going to get
could finish at number 1.
Shit ton of targets. Yeah, he's totally got potential. With Diggs and Gabe Davis gone, I mean, again, it's going to be Dalton Kincaid could be the number 1 target, right?
Yep.
I mean, because otherwise it's probably Keon Coleman or
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel, like just guys. I think if Kincaid's the targets leader on this team, I'm not going to be surprised in the least. David Njoku, I think his best games were when Flacco was quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so now Flacco's gone, Watson's in. I don't know what his games looked like with Watson last year, what the splits were. He's probably going to be okay. Not super excited
He's
about Njoku.
All right. Yeah.
Talking about flex players here, we got Zach Moss for Holly, Cortland Sutton. JT's got DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. I mean, I think we both are obviously going to take JT's side there. DK Metcalf, could have a huge year. They have a new offensive coordinator. Terry McLaurin, new quarterback. I mean, it's kind of the same conversation about Terry McLaurin. He's had a new quarterback every year, but I think for the first time he actually has a good quarterback. But it's a rookie quarterback, so temper expectations. That said, I would still rather have Terry with Jaden Daniels than Cortland Sutton with Bo Nix. And Zach Moss, not a great matchup against New England. I do think he's going to see a lot of work. Who knows how much Chase Brown's going to be involved? We don't really know yet, but Zach Moss, another sort of uninteresting sort of player. Let's take a look at their benches real quick. Holly also has Chase Brown, speaking of. She's got Gabe Davis. Josh Downs is kind of interesting, but I wouldn't really be starting any of the Indy receivers outside of Pittman. Dotson's probably honestly a drop until we see more.
I would drop Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean
Keep
she's got three quarterbacks,
Lawrence.
right? Like that, you definitely keep. Yeah, if you had to keep two of those three, yeah, I'm with you. You drop Rogers. Um, yeah, maybe you keep Dotson, I guess, in that case, but she needs a defense still, so she's gonna pick one up, I guess, soon.
Yeah.
Depth on JT side, he's got Brian Robinson. I actually really like. I was trying to get him in drafts. I think he could get a lot of
Yeah.
work. Rico
Yep.
Dowdle's being talked up as being potentially the bell cow there. Um, until we see it between him and Zeke, we don't really know.
Yeah. Yep.
And everybody else, JT, if you hear this, you should probably is Hawkinson on the pup, right? Yeah, JT, move Hawkinson to your IR spot, man. Come on, pick up somebody else. See, like, y'all need to be like paying attention here. Like, that's a free spot. That is a free bench spot. If you move your guys to the IR when they are eligible, like, put TJ Hawkinson there, go pick up somebody else. All right. Anyways, I mean, it's JT, right? JT's winning this matchup.
Yep.
All right, let's move on here. We got two more matchups, I think. We got Madison and Kate here. Quarterback Purdy versus Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Um, they could bring Pacheco out and he could run the ball 20 times, and Mahomes maybe passes like 35 times, and maybe like one passing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a world where Mahomes has a really mediocre day, especially with.
Or he could throw 4 touchdowns.
He could. But to give credit to our Baltimore Ravens defense, I think outside of, I know we lost Clowney. Outside of that, and losing Mike McDonald, I think our defense might actually be better. I really do. And we lost Patrick Queen as well. But honestly, I feel like who's the dude that's replacing Tavius? Is it Robinson?
Yeah.
Is that the right?
Tavis Robinson.
Tavius. Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Tavius. He could end up being just as good as Patrick Queen. So I guess what I'm saying is we got Nate Wiggins there now. Like, there's a world where Mahomes just gets shut down. Doesn't happen often, but it's possible. I'm with you, though. You should probably still give him the edge. All right, let's look at running backs. We got James Cook and Aaron Jones versus Barkley and Pacheco. I much prefer Kate's side here.
Yep.
I think James Cook could have a really good season.
Agreed.
And I think he probably will have a really good season. I think Aaron Jones is an unknown.
Just gotta stay healthy.
He's got to stay healthy, and he's getting up there, man. You know what I mean? He wasn't ultra efficient last year. Now he's a year older, new team, probably a worse team, definitely a worse team.
Oh yeah.
He might have fewer scoring opportunities. You don't know how much Ty Chandler is going to be involved. Aaron Jones is a very murky pick this year. Whereas Saquon, I think he's going to have potentially his best season ever. Which I know is a
Say
kind
better
of
than his rookie
I was
season.
gonna say that's a bold prediction given his rookie season where he caught like 100 passes, but it's possible, man. I mean, yeah, he's not going to have the checkdowns he had from Eli Manning, right? He's never going to have that again. He's never going to have 100 plus targets or whatever he had that rookie season. But I think potentially he's got a better offensive line. He's got a better offense. He's going to have more scoring opportunities. He's going to have probably more yards, more touchdowns. I think there's a world where, from a fantasy perspective, he finishes close to his rookie season finish, which he hasn't really gotten close to in a number of years. Pacheco, Pacheco doesn't excite me as a player. I think he's talented, but I don't know. I hear the name Isaiah Pacheco, and I'm not like, damn, that's a good running back. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's quick, but he's the best running back on their team by far. So he'll probably have a bunch of opportunities. He'll probably have 100 plus yards and at least a touchdown. So he'll be plenty fine for Kate. I think we're giving this to Kate, right, in terms of running backs. Yep. All right, how about receivers here? Why don't you take us through Madison's receivers here? What you think?
So we got Devontae, Olave, and Rashi. That's actually funny. Kate could have. I wonder if Kate could have gotten Rashi and just stacked it. Oh, she has Kelsey too. I like Olave. I think he's like one of the only receivers on the Saints to catch the ball, so I think he should have a pretty decent year. Rashi, at least with Hollywood out, obviously he should be the main guy. Week 1, hopefully he gets locked down, right? For our sake too.
Yep.
But he could easily, just knowing us somehow, he could slip one and catch a touchdown. So
Yeah.
Devontae, he's old, right? He's 31. I do like the idea of Minshew, because I think in the past, I think he was the gunslinger when he would start.
Oh yeah.
And who's the other receiver? I think it's Jacoby Myers, if I remember correctly.
Is that where Myers is now? Yeah, that's not exciting.
Yeah.
That's not exciting.
And Brock Bowser's, who's not fully healthy right now. So I don't mind it because Devontae, he's still really good in my opinion, just as a player. And he still was top 10 last year, even though it felt like he wasn't. But Kate obviously kept CD.
What's the N mean? What is that? NA?
Something to do with his.
Was it because of his contract? They just not update this yet?
I think so.
Okay.
But he's definitely gonna play. There's no question there. So CD was number 1 or number 2, I forget. Receiver, he can easily finish number 1.
Yep.
I think he probably will finish number 1. There's no reason not to do what they did last year. Just keep it going. They clearly won games because of it, but had other problems. Zay, I like him this year, but the same thing that we mentioned earlier is with Lamar. Yeah, well, sorry, not with Lamar. With Derrick Henry, are we going to run the ball 25 plus times a game between him and Lamar and Justice Hill? We have Bateman, Flowers, Andrews to throw to.
Aguilar.
Aguilar's there with the random touchdowns.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I brought up his name because so often he'll just have a catch for a touchdown. That'll be his one contribution to the game. Is just a touchdown.
And I love it.
Yeah, 100%. I love having Aguilar on the team. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Zay Flowers, to me, a 13-point projection is a bet on a touchdown as far as I'm concerned. If he gets a touchdown, he's going to hit 13 points. If he doesn't, he could go, 4 for 60, which is 10 points, right? It's not terrible.
It's not bad.
It's just because none of the receivers get a ton of volume. I know he had a couple games last year where he had actually a ton of targets. I think he had at least a double-digit target game. Let's just see for fun.
He had 3 of them, 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, okay. All right, so there is a world where that happens. Look, he also has intermingled. He's got 10 targets, 2 targets, 13 targets, 3 targets. Like, it's so inconsistent. I'm with you. I love Zay Flowers. I think he's going to take a huge step forward. I think he's going to be a critical part of the offense. For fantasy, he'll be okay. He'll probably finish somewhere in the wide receiver 2 range. Yeah, he'll have a decent floor. You're absolutely right. Curtis Samuel, we kind of talked about him earlier. He's getting up there. He's always hurt. There's always something wrong with him.
I don't like him.
New team. He's probably at best the 3rd target on this team. I can't say that for sure. Dalton Kincaid's probably 1. It should be Keon Coleman as number 2, but it might not be week 1. And then Curtis Samuel's probably 3rd. Maybe like James Cook might work in there somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely got to give it to Madison here. I think she edges out Kate in terms of receivers. Tight end, I think same thing. Madison's going to get it with Kels. I don't care that Kels is like 35. How old was he? 34. Jalen Ferguson, I think, is a good player. Kels is Travis Kels, right? Until he truly has fallen off, you can't bet against him. Looking at their flex depth here, Demont, Calvin Ridley versus Singletary and Dubs. To me, again, this is the Madison side, no question, right? I mean, David Montgomery, you don't know how much work he's going to get. He's probably going to get, if I had to guess, Gibbs is hurt. Or he's coming off the hamstring. Is it hamstring, right? Tweaking hamstring? Is that what's going on with Gibbs?
Yeah. He's almost 100%.
Okay, so Gibbs, factor out the injury. Montgomery's probably still locked for 10 touches. Would you agree with that?
I was going to say more.
That's what I'm saying. 15. At least 10. 10 is probably a baseline. He's still the RB1 on that team. Like, depth-wise, he's still going to be the starter. Yeah, because if you're going to just probably hand the ball off time and time again, it's probably going to be David Montgomery. Now, the higher value stuff's probably going to go to Gibbs, but I think Montgomery there, I like him. Ridley in Tennessee, how do you feel about that?
Not many people to throw to on that team, and Will Levis is a cannon.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be. I know you were drafting him a lot on our mock drafts. Mm-hmm. I like him this year too.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it.
I think he's a sleeper candidate to be a wide receiver 1. Not the overall wide receiver 1. I just mean top 12. Like you said, Will Levis, gunslinger. DeAndre Hopkins is hurt and older. So Calvin Ridley is going to be he's poised, right? He could be the wide receiver one on that team easily. Um, you know, uh, we'll see. Devin Singletary for the Giants absolutely does nothing to move any needles in my mind. Like, I could care less about Devin
No.
Singletary. This is a dude who has been as mediocre and boring of a player his entire career as you could possibly ever get. I mean, I think we've talked about him in years past, right? And like, it's always just he's so boring.
He really is.
And look, he's going to be the primary running back. I mean, he is the RB1 on that team. Who's the RB2? Do you know?
The rookie, I think. The Tyrone Tracy. Who I think is injured right now.
Tyrone Tracy, and I feel like I've actually heard decent things about. Yeah, I think you're right. I think
He's pretty decent,
yeah,
actually.
I've heard he's good. So, barring the injury situation, you don't know how it's going to shake out. Devin Singletary, he could end up with a bunch of targets. He could actually end up being a decently valuable fantasy player. Probably RB2, RB3. I still don't like him. Romeo Dubs, same conversation as all the Green Bay receivers. We don't really need to talk about him too much. I don't know which of those guys is going to finish higher week over week. So, it's interesting. The projections have these guys, neck and neck, 50-50. I kind of really think I prefer Madison's team.
Yeah. I think Kate has some upside on her team, but I think Madison has some pretty decent floor and ceiling players.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I would say too. I mean, Kate has some people who could really just goose egg. I don't feel. I mean, Kate has people who could be the top in their position for a week. She also has people who could probably give her a 0. I think Madison has people who are going to give her consistent points every week, plus some people who could actually blow up, like you said, kind of a floor and a ceiling play. All right, let's see here. I guess my matchup is last here. Me and old Pop, old Scott. Quarterback,
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts versus Josh Allen. I mean, it's kind of a battle of the Titans there. Might be the first time I've ever taken a quarterback in the first 3 or 4 rounds in a fantasy league.
I was surprised you did that.
He was there in the 4th round. I mean, I couldn't pass it up any longer.
Yeah.
I'm kind of actually excited to have him too. And I know they got Jahan Dotson doesn't really do anything, but he is another weapon for Hurts, which helps Hurts, right? Like, it doesn't mean anything for Jahan Dotson, but it does help Jalen Hurts. So I'm kind of excited about that. Josh Allen, he's been QB1 a bunch of the past few years, so he's going to keep doing his thing. I mean, I would still take Josh Allen over Hurts, no question about it. I do think it's close.
100%.
I think their matchups are both really good. Both of these matchups, if you told me they were shootouts, wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
Yeah.
Looking at running backs here, ETN and James Conner for me, Breece Hall and Eckler for him. I mean, if you had to make me pick one of these 4, I'm going to take Breece Hall, obviously.
Any day.
But
Monster.
Eckler to me is totally wild card. I mean, Eckler looked like shit last year. I mean, after his injury, he looked terrible. He started off the season strong, finished really, really, really poorly. How much of that was injury, how much of that was just kind of wear and tear, you don't really know. He's on a new team, a worse team. Actually, the Commanders might be just as bad as the Chargers this year. Who knows?
I was going to say, Chargers aren't. No.
But we don't know what kind of passing work he's going to get. Brian Robinson's probably the RB1 on that team, honestly. He's probably going to get more carries than Eckler.
For sure.
So I was really low on Eckler this year. We just don't know what he's going to do. James Conner, I'm actually kind of high on. I think he's going to get a ton of work. He's going to be the goal line guy for whatever Kyler Murray doesn't vulture. I do like ETN still. What do you think about Travis Etienne?
I was hoping to get him, to be honest, in the second round, but I thought he was. I mean, obviously, he finished number 3. He just had some monster games.
Yep.
So I think he's just solid.
Yeah. I mean, Calvin Ridley's gone. They still have Christian Kirk, but he's a little bit banged up. So Etienne could see even more passing work.
Yep.
Who's his backup? Is that Tank Bigsby?
Yeah.
And he wasn't too great in his rookie year last year, so
just terrible.
I think Etienne's going to get a lot of work. So, running back's probably close. Breece Hall is obviously going to be the better of the 4 here, but I think my 2 are better than
his 2.
Eckler. So, all right, moving on to receiver here. So I've got in my starting spots, I've got Justin Jefferson, Puka, and Jalen Waddle. He's got Tyreek, Drake London, Debo Samuel. That's pretty honestly two solid trios in my mind of wide receivers.
Yeah.
Tyreek could be the wide receiver one on the season. Wouldn't be surprising to anybody. Justin Jefferson probably won't be, but he'll probably be somewhere in the top 6 or 8 or something in that realm. Puka, who do you think is going to have the better finish, Puka or Cooper? Cooper Cup.
Puka.
Think so? Coin toss for
Yeah.
me. It could be either one of those guys. It's probably whichever one of them plays more games in terms of health. Drake London, unknown.
That's how that works, right?
I mean, well, what I'm saying is like, that's probably how it's going to end up shaking out.
Oh,
But
you're saying based on who actually plays. Okay.
Yeah. Like, but if if both guys played all 17 games, to me it's a total coin toss, right? You just don't know.
Okay.
I'd probably give it to Cooper Cup, just because he's done it more often. But he's getting older.
31. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. We got Drake London. Same thing with Kyle Pitts, right? Quarterback upgrade, potentially a coaching upgrade. He should have his best year yet. Debo Samuel, Debo's just a solid wide receiver. We kind of talked about him already. Jalen Waddle has been hurt, so he'll probably remain hurt. We'll see. Which of these wide receiver cores would you pick as an outsider?
If Justin Jefferson had, it's funny, JJ and JJ. If JJ had JJ as his quarterback, I'm saying JJ. No, yeah, his name is JJ.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy.
I would probably like your side, but having Tyreek and Debo on the same team is pretty nasty because we've seen what their upside games are.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, JJ could still.
Well, it's not JJ. Remember, it's Are you talking? When you say JJ, are you referring to Jefferson? Or are you talking about JJ McCarthy?
Yeah, now I'm talking about Jefferson.
Okay.
If he can have, I mean, he's still gonna be the wide receiver one, right? No question. He's still gonna get peppered with targets, even though they're Sam Darnold, like ghost targets where he just throws at the defender. You hope they're down a bunch and they throw more, and I don't know. If Waddle was healthy, no, I don't know.
It's tough.
Probably Tyreek.
Yeah, I'd probably give this to Scott. I think it's close, though. I don't think his talent blows mine out of the water, per se.
No.
At tight end, I really kind of punted the tight end position.
You did, severely.
Yeah. I just there was a bunch of guys that just kept falling to me I really liked, so I just kept grabbing them instead. And honestly, once a certain number of guys are off the board who I like, I just don't care. It's at that point, I'm just going to wait. That said, I do like Brock Bowers as like a prospect. I think he could be really good. He could be a target contender in Vegas.
Yeah.
But he's not currently healthy. So honestly, my expectations for Week 1 for Brock Bowers is 0 points. Like that's the baseline I've set, and I won't be surprised. I won't be upset if he.
I think he'll play. I was just I think it's a later stretch.
If he
gets deal with him,
because the thing with tight end is like anybody else I could have picked in that range is somebody I could start. Like if I looked at waivers right now, there's probably guys like Hunter Henry out there and those types of dudes, and any of those guys can goose egg me Week 1. The same as Brock Bowers. So let me at least take the shot on the rookie tight end who's ultra talented. Like,
right?
You know what I mean? So anything above 0, I'll be happy with. Evan Ingram's obviously the better play, right? He's going to get a ton of targets. I forgot to mention him when we were talking about Jacksonville earlier. He's obviously probably going to lead the team in targets. Him or Kirk, if Kirk's healthy. And then Brian Thomas will slot in somewhere. So Evan Ingram obviously wins out there. As far as flex depth, he's currently got another tight end slotted in here. Let's look at the depth below. I mean, Jalen Warren's probably the play there if he's healthy. Anybody else you'd put in over Dallas Goedert?
No, none. So it's some players like Jacoby Myers and like
that's who I was kind of
Shaheed.
Shaheed's always good for like a deep bomb pass every game, half of which turned into touchdowns. So that's kind of intriguing. I don't think I'd be playing Dallas Goedert personally. I don't think.
No, not until there's an injury.
And even exactly. Not until there's an injury to somebody who's going to command more targets on that offense. He's got Shakir in there. I always forget about Khalil Shakir in Buffalo.
I'm not a huge fan of him personally.
I'm not either. On my side, I've got Tank Dell. I've got Javonte Williams slotted. I was having some trouble figuring out who I wanted to start. I was kind of between Javante and JSN. I think I'm only going to leave it with Javante. I think he's going to have guaranteed work week 1. He's probably going to have 15 opportunities
Yeah,
at least. So
I agreed.
if he gets a touchdown, then great. I'll be happy. Tank Dell, we'll see what his role is, as we talked about earlier. I don't know. Who are you picking to win this game?
I mean, just like the projections. I mean, Scott's projected 0.3 more points.
Right.
I mean, I
It's
think it
close.
could easily be that.
Yeah. I think we have the highest predicted points, him and I, for week
Oh,
1.
for sure.
Which is
I
fun.
think. I mean, literally, I think it's 50-50. I think it just depends on whose players show up.
Yeah.
Because both have some crazy ceiling players.
100%. 100%. It's going to be which way the touchdowns go, probably week 1. If his guys get one more touchdown than mine, he probably wins it. So, yeah, I honestly don't know who to pick there either. All right, well, I think that covers all the matchups here. Chad, you want to talk any smack to Jimmy? What would you say to Jimmy right now?
I would just say, don't look at your fantasy team this week because just wait till next week. Wait till waivers,
Yep. Yeah, I
which
agree
are
with that.
Wednesday morning.
Yep. Wednesday morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
What about Scott?
Scott, I'd say Godspeed. May the force be with you. That's all I
There
have.
you go.
That's all I have for you. I can't talk too much shit because honestly, if he whoops
Yeah.
my ass week 1, I'm not going to be surprised. Not at all. Not at all. So, all right. Well, I think that covers it. Unless there's anything else you can think of. Any other comments you have?
Hopefully the Ravens win.
Yes. Hey, do you understand? And maybe this is a good time to talk about this really quickly. We're past an hour. Do you understand the scoring change with the median, the win against the median?
So, just so, assume if I explain it right, they would understand it too. So the sleeper's going to take the average points between all the teams, and that's going to be the median, right? And then depending on if you finish either top 6 of that or bottom 6, sorry, top 6 you get another win, bottom 6 you get a loss.
Yep.
And then it'll calculate your rankings based off 2.
Yeah. Yeah, the standings should show. Like, after week 1, everybody will have a combination of 2 wins or losses, right? So either
Right.
1-1, 0-2, 2-0. One of those 3 things. Which is going to look funny because you've only played 1 game at that point. So, and then top 6 make the playoffs. No, none of this, like, we're not going to worry about who had the most points. That goes out the window because this system kind of replaces that.
Right.
All right, I just want to make sure. I figured anybody who's still listening at this point might want an explanation there too. So, all right, good luck everybody. Week 1, we'll be back. I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll do another video. We'll bring some people on. Maybe we'll try to do something else, make this a little bit more interesting. Sometimes I feel like just talking about the players can get a little bit boring. So, all right, peace out, everybody.